and a non-royal. The Spanish team has found compelling evidence that the Queen and her architect may have had more than just a working relationship. But Kara will have to travel 15 stories underground to see it.
It's smaller than I thought it would be.
Yes.
Look at this.
I'm sorry. You are welcome. Anyway.
So this is the first astronomical ceiling in all existence?
Exactly. In the world. The older in the world. This is like the 16th chapel.
It is.
Better than this.
It's an incredible find, the world's first astronomical chart. But there's another surprise within this chamber. An inscription.
We have these two inscriptions.
Well, these are long inscriptions. What do we have?
The inscriptions seem to confirm that Hatshepsut and Senenmut were lovers.
You read?
So, his servant in the place of her heart.
Yes. Who makes
the all pleasure of the Lord of the, who makes pleasure for the Lord of the two lands.
Exactly.
So he's working for her pleasure.
All kings were adored by their staff, but put together with other evidence, these inscriptions read more like love letters.
Well, I've been on the fence the whole time about whether or not Hatshepsut and Senenmut were lovers. And having talked with the Spanish team, I'm actually starting to believe more and more that this could be true. So I'm starting to be more and more convinced that this relationship is not only strange and unprecedented, but may have been much closer than I thought.
The tomb also has a sinister side to reveal.
We have a little secret for you.
Yes?
Yes.
I want to see your little secret.
Yes.
Yeah.
Come with me.
Tucked away in a dark corner of the tomb, according to Valentine, is one of the few representations of Senenmut and Hatshepsut together. But unlike the rest of the tomb, it has been attacked.
The head of these people is destroyed.
Yes, we actually have heads being destroyed. Why?
Why? Exactly. Somebody don't like this.
Don't like who? They don't like who? Senenmut?
Yes, maybe it's Hatshepsut.
This is destroyed.
Exactly. In my opinion, yes.
Purposefully, on purpose.
Yes.
Okay.
This then might be the first evidence of who wanted Hatshepsut erased. Perhaps she was attacked because of her unseemly relationship with the commoner Senenmut. Perhaps outrage was a motive.
Extreme travelers, oily steeds and Mark Anster show you what it takes to survive during the Stone Age as they rough it out with a tribal people. Living with the Kombai tribe, tonight on Discovery Channel.
Can you crack a safe just by listening?
Mythbusters, Thursday nights on Discovery Channel. Mother Nature. For centuries, we feared her power. Now, the tide has changed. A new breed of heroes have emerged.
You can't tame nature. You can only design against it.
Who not only battle the forces of nature, they harness her energy.
This is going to power the planet.
They're building the future. A 4-part special. Premieres Monday, 30th of July on Discovery Channel. All new and exciting this August on Discovery Channel. No tall tales go unchallenged with the Mythbusters. The Turtles kick up a storm down under American Chopper, Australia. The fight to be #1, Ultimate Olympics. It's a battle of the superpowers. Mean Machines Transatlantic Challenge. August on Discovery Channel. They're the disasters that shocked the world.
It was almost something out of a bad movie.
Leaving only hope and prayer in their midst. Demanding answers to how and why. Commanding a legacy of never again.
Todos los días, en algún momento del día, yo tengo algún flashback o algún recuerdo.
Blueprint for Disaster. Tomorrow night on Discovery Channel. What if traffic was a thing of the past? What if the most powerful computer you owned was your car? What if science fiction just became science? What will you be driving in the not-so-distant future? The greatest minds in engineering will give you a fascinating glimpse in this special 4-part series, Future Car. Thursday nights on Discovery Channel.
Back in the lab, more CT finds are coming in, and the team is narrowing down the possible Hatshepsuts.
This is a second step now. We will examine, cross-examine the three of them.
The doctors take the forensic examination of unknown A, the screaming mummy, to the next level.
We've been looking at the chest and the body, and it is in a very bad shape. For sure, she's been neglected for quite a long time before they started embalming her or mummifying her. And the other thing is that actually I could not find any mummification or embalming material that evident as in the other royal families. No, it's not there.
Poor embalming makes this an unlikely queen. New information on the state of her bones also allows the doctors to estimate her age when she died.
She's old, more than 50 years of age.
Hatshepsut is believed to have been 40 to 50 at death. Factor in the wrong age, the wrong quality of embalming, the wrong time frame for mummification, and this mummy is clearly out of the running.
Yeah, we can rule this mummy out. I don't think that she could be Hatshepsut.
That leaves just the two KV-60 mummies. The nanny resembles the Thutmose family, but her arm is not quite in the royal position. Still, studying the scans, Ashraf notices that all is not quite as it seems.
She had a broken left arm just above the elbow, and the arm is bent over the abdomen. So probably it was there, but because of the fracture that was induced later on, not before death, after death. And now the arm is now just lower down. So the position of the arm pointing out being royal.
She's got the royal arm, the right facial characteristics, and the right age. She was a queen. And now Hani finds that she's got the same skin condition as Thutmoses II and III.
Look at the skin. It has the same skin lesions of both Thutmoses II and the III.
But the strong one of KV-60 is also a likely suspect. She has the royal arm, the right age, and the most striking facial resemblance to the Thutmoses family.
What's most interesting about this mummy is the teeth condition. Now, this mummy had a very bad oral hygiene. Definitely, I would say that she has experienced a lot of pain from her teeth.
Two prime suspects, two queens, the strong one and the nanny are left. The team decides to bring them to the next, more rigorous round of forensic testing. For the first time ever, advanced DNA technology will be used on the hunt for a pharaoh.
We will be focusing on these two mummies in particular, trying to see what's with and what's against each to be Queen Hatshepsut.
Zahi assembles a team from Egypt's National Research Center. These molecular geneticists, headed by Dr. Yahia Zakaria, plan to compare the DNA of the queens with Hatshepsut's relatives to see which one, if either, will match.
The one which will show matching DNA fingerprint will be Hatshepsut.
99.9% of all human DNA is the same in everyone. Only a few strands set each family group apart. Those tiny strands are what they're looking for. But DNA deteriorates rapidly, degrading from the moment of death as water, microbes, and oxygen attack it. After 3,500 years, there may not be enough left to make a positive ID. So they're using a brand new chemical process called minifiler that can latch on to the tiniest fragment of DNA and replicate it until it's big enough to be studied. It's already helped solve missing persons cases in the US.
Particularly, we've had success with bone samples to identify victims who've lain unidentified for more than 60 years.
But the enemy of any DNA hunt is contamination. If one single molecule from another source gets into the sample, the test will fail. So Zahi's decided to build an innovative new sterile lab right inside the Cairo Museum. Funded by Discovery and Applied Biosystems, it is Egypt's first ancient DNA lab, one of a few in the world built just for studying mummy DNA.
The first time you try anything like this, it's always a voyage of discovery. Do we have another bottle?
Senior forensic specialist Nicola Oldroyd and ancient DNA expert Dr. Angelique Corthals have come to Cairo to train the Egyptian team on applied biosystems' brand new technology.
We've been working on this system for about the last 2 years, and it's specifically designed to help with the amplification of very degraded and compromised samples.
Once Minifiler finds the DNA, it can be amplified, showing up as colored computer graphic peaks. Each peak is a genetic marker, a molecular fingerprint unique to one person or family. Will DNA finally unlock the secrets of Hatshepsut's identity? Will they find the DNA of a pharaoh? The search for Hatshepsut's mummy has entered a new phase. In the heart of the Cairo Museum, groundbreaking DNA testing is about to begin on the 2 remaining queens. Zahi Hawass supervises as they start with the strong mummy from KV60.
You're going to take the samples from her.
We'll start the first one from the pelvic bone.
Okay.
Once they choose the best entry point, they use a bone biopsy needle to bore deep inside to the marrow. That's where they'll find the purest DNA, if any still exists. But Dr. Zakaria immediately encounters a problem.
The bone is very soft quality.
The bone in the hip has deteriorated. It's no good for a sample.
She has a bone disease, a real bone disease.
A bone disease?
Yes, she has some bone disease in both hip bones or the pelvic bones.
When we look at the CT scan, maybe this could confirm what you're talking about. Yes.
They resort to taking a sample from the upper tibia.
Okay, good.
And after more than an hour, they have enough material.
We have 10 samples.
Next up, the so-called nanny. The needles and protective gear have all been changed to avoid contamination between mummies.
We are digging into the tissue to make a deep tunnel to get far away from the surface, so the risk of contamination is much minimized. It's like a screwdriver.
After another hour and a half of painstaking work, Dr. Zakaria has the samples he needs.
Yep. That's a good one. It is all bone.
Now they're ready to work on Hatshepsut's father.
Thutmose the First.
Samples in hand, it's time to start the next step. Purifying the bone fragments and chemically extracting the DNA. If any is there, it will end up in the clear solution in these vials. Using lasers, the hypersensitive machine starts to search for any minuscule amount of genetic data. What they're looking for is the elusive nuclear DNA, the DNA from the cell nucleus. It's the kind used in paternity cases. In ancient sources, it's much harder to extract, but if they do find it, it could yield definitive proof.
I'm waiting impatiently.
And then, the first results come through. Faint but definite signs of nuclear DNA.
It's really thrilling. It's nuclear DNA is coming out.
And it's not just the nanny. The strong one also yields nuclear DNA.
This is really nice. I mean, there is some pattern here.
The results are astonishing. On the first try, the team is actually finding DNA that survived 3,500 years. But when they turn to Hatshepsut's father, their luck runs out. After several attempts, Thutmose I sample does yield a tiny amount of nuclear DNA, but not enough to prove a relationship.
You can't be lucky each time. Either the DNA of Thutmose I is not there, or it's in a very poor state that it cannot be amplified.
But the team does have a fallback plan. One other direct ancestor of Hatshepsut, the mummy of Amos Nefertari, Hatshepsut's grandmother, a powerful queen said to be her role model.
Amos Nefertari is the origin of the family. We have to do the DNA.
From her, they can find the DNA passed from mother to daughter. It's called mitochondrial DNA, and samples from the possible Hatshepsuts have it. They hope hers will too. But it's much harder to work with mitochondrial DNA. To prove a relationship with it takes much longer.
This is science. I mean, you can never get an answer from one experiment or two. It's a tedious process that scientists never give up. So we'll try.
Now a process begins that may take weeks, even months. But the potential payoff is huge. A chance to find out if one of these two mummies is Hatshepsut.
I will wait until the result, and then we'll have a big meeting here. So, okay.
Every disaster differs, yet the root of each is strangely familiar.
It was like reading a really badly written novel.
Bizarre coincidences, twisted ironies, and an inconceivable chain of bad luck.
If there's anything you could possibly imagine happening, did.
Disaster's perfect formula, brewing on the most deadly. Premieres tonight on Discovery Channel. They defy common belief.
And I remember the doctor saying, this is a total miracle.
And can turn any skeptic into believer. Miraculous comebacks that are death-defying on a cutting-edge series. Go deep beneath the human skin to unlock mysteries of the human body. To witness living proof that medical miracles do happen. On Life or Death, a new series premieres Tuesday, 24th of July on Discovery Channel.
Didn't have a crime, we didn't have a victim, we didn't have evidence of anything.
I wish I could tell you how I know these things.
I sat there in meditation for a little while. With that, I had a vision.
The image I kept having was this naked body, multiple wounds, rape.
All the information that she saw was exactly the truth.
Crime Scene Psychics, Wednesday nights on Discovery Channel.
He's a psychopath. Right is wrong. He's right out here among us.
The truth buried.
They're in the garden because the house is already full.
Depravity reigns.
Lying, torture, kill.
6 cases that define the brutality of the serial killer.
You are facing something that you have never, ever seen before.
Crimes that shook the world.
Friday nights on Discovery Channel. All new and exciting this August on Discovery Channel. No tall tales go unchallenged with the Mythbusters. The Turtles kick up a storm down under American Chopper, Australia. The fight to be #1, Ultimate Olympics. It's a battle of the superpowers. Mean Machines Transatlantic Challenge. August on Discovery Channel.
As Zahi's scientific team zeroes in on a possible Hatshepsut, Kara's historical team is closing in on possible suspects, those who wanted to erase her from history. Of all the enemies she might have feared, historians always felt there was one most likely suspect, her stepson, Thutmose III. He wasn't a toddler anymore. Now grown up and in charge of the army, was he chafing to get power? Did he want to take her place?
One way of looking at this and seeing all of this destruction, all of this violent hacking out of her name, it is possible to think that Thutmose III hated this woman, that he considered her an evil stepmother.
Egyptologist Charles Van Sicklen agrees.
One of the first theories was that she was the wicked stepmother, hated by Thutmose III. When she died in a fit of rage, he destroys all her monuments.
After more than a decade, was he simply tired of waiting? As head of the army, Thutmose III had the means and the motive. Did he kill Hatshepsut? Back at Deir el-Bahari, Dr. Safransky's team has found a clue that may start to connect the dots. It's about Hatshepsut's daughter, Neferure. It turns out the queen was grooming her for power.
It was done in the time of Hatshepsut.
These inscriptions, like so many tied to Hatshepsut, have been erased. But looking deep within the stone, they find hints of what was there before.
We have traces of Ra,
We have traces of Nefer.
Oh, I see it.
If these images fascinate Egyptologists, it's because they show Neferure as a deity, a pharaoh in training, and place her right next to the inner sanctuary.
The significance of this image, and this is where it gets really cool, is that Hatshepsut is putting her daughter into an incredibly important priestess position, but it seems into a political position as well, and maybe even as her successor.
Neferure would simply vanish. Was she caught in the middle of her mother's political struggle?
Well, this would be unprecedented, to have a female king to be grooming her daughter to be her successor as another king. She pushed it very far. Too far. It's too radical.
Is this the key to the entire campaign to destroy Hatshepsut's legacy? Did she have to be removed to ensure her descendants would never mount the throne?
Did it place her at risk? Must have.
Meanwhile, back in Cairo, Zahi's team has narrowed the search down to two possible Hatshepsuts, the two from KV-60, the nanny and the strong one. The results from the DNA lab are heartening. They have successfully extracted mitochondrial DNA from Amos Nefertari, Hatshepsut's grandmother. That makes a comparison with the suspects possible, but it's going to take time. Getting a match is like hunting for a single name in a stack of 200 telephone books. So their work will have to continue for months. Now the investigation is at an impasse. Until Zahi gets an idea. Could the one artifact with the Queen's name on it, the funerary box from the cache of DB-320, hold some kind of clue?
This is the only thing that we have as an evidence of the mummy of the Queen.
We have to find it immediately.
Now they just have to track it down. With almost 150,000 artifacts in the Cairo Museum, finding a tiny wooden box is no easy task. And then at last, they find it.
Yes, this is the box of Hatshepsut.
After 3,500 years, this is the one sure link to the pharaoh herself. It's called a canopic box. The embalmers of ancient Egypt used them to store the internal organs of a royal's body for eternity. It's said Hatshepsut's mummified liver lies within this one.
This box is very important because this is the only piece that we do have from the body of Queen Hatshepsut kept inside this box.
The regal name of Hatshepsut, Ma'at Kara, is still marked on the outside. Zahi wants to see if there might be some kind of clue inside. But the team hits a roadblock. They can't open the box. It's actually glued shut. A substance known as resin was used to preserve the liver 3,500 years ago. But now it's hardened into a solid, impenetrable mass.
We have one part of her body in front of us, and maybe this could lead us to something very important. Maybe it could lead us to the real mummy of Queen Hatshepsut.
They can't get inside the box without damaging it. Then Zahi realizes he's got a solution already waiting. The CT scanner. This is definitely a scientific first.
Nobody on this earth scanned a jar with organ before. This is new.
And so a small wooden box from the golden age of Egypt enters the 21st century. But even veteran radiologists don't know quite how to interpret what they're seeing.
It's a mixture of very bizarre-looking, odd-looking things there. I don't know what could it be. I'm trying to see, can we scan it in a different way?
They try again, this time at a different angle.
We'll figure out.
It's strange. You see there are different structures inside. There are two separate organs.
First, the liver comes into focus. Next, a bonus. Hatshepsut's intestines are here as well. Then Dr. Hani spots something really surprising, something defined.
This is good. It's some sort of bone. It's a bone. It seems like a bone.
If this dense object is a piece of bone, then they can compare it with the skeletons they already have. This could be a vital clue. The team is excited.
Any news? Any news?
All we have, every day we have good news. So, see you. Bye.
Now they just have to figure out what this piece of bone is and what it means. A box centuries old has yielded a brand new clue in the hunt for Hatshepsut. Now the team must decipher its meaning.
If we take a look to the books, we will find something amazing. We found some hyper-dense parts. It seemed as if it is a tooth or something like that.
Once the images are rendered in 3 dimensions, the dense object does indeed seem to be a tooth.
This is a teeth.
The next logical step, to determine if either mummy is missing a tooth. But nothing in this hunt turns out to be easy. Both of the mummies are missing teeth. The nanny lacks an upper incisor.
You see that?
And the strong mummy of KV60 is missing several teeth, including an upper molar.
This one is missing molar teeth. This is a root, only one root without the rest of the molar teeth.
Okay, so what we have here?
A surprise, but a big surprise.
Now the question is simple. Is the tooth in the box a molar or an incisor? Which KV60 mummy did it belong to, if either?
Maybe these are the missing teeth. Maybe.
To find out, they call in an expert, Dr. Galal Bahari, an oral surgeon from Cairo University. What kind of tooth is it?
It is a molar tooth, and it has only one root. Okay?
Get on your bike and get set for the ride of your life with the world's favorite bike-building family. To celebrate the Australian tour, 2 lucky fans will win a trip to the Orange County Chopper headquarters.
Perfect. All right, fired up, guys.
All right, Mikey.
For more information, visit australia-reveal.com. It's your chance to experience up close the nuts and bolts of this all-American hit series. On the next Man vs. Wild, survival expert Bear Grylls shows you how you can make it out alive as he takes on the dangerous terrain of the Costa Rican rainforest. Man vs. Wild, tonight on Discovery Channel. On the next 0 Hour, 600 of Peru's most powerful people are held hostage by a desperate man willing to kill for the woman he loves. 0 Hour, tonight on Discovery Channel.
The naked chef goes back to his roots.
Love it.
And teases the finest out of Mother Nature.
Happy days, we can start cooking. Delicious.
Proving once again that the simplest things in life serve up the tastiest morsels.
People want to eat food that's been bought and cooked with a bit of integrity and a bit of love. Incredible.
Jamie at Home. Thursday nights at 8 on Discovery Travel and Living.
All new and exciting this August on Discovery Channel. No tall tales go unchallenged with the Mythbusters. The Turtles kick up a storm down under American Chopper Australia. The fight to be #1, Ultimate Olympics. It's a battle of the superpowers. Mean Machines Transatlantic Challenge. August on Discovery Channel. They're back with bigger plans, more extreme bikes, and overgrown egos.
God.
More of father versus son.
In your head, for Christ's sake.
Brother versus brother. And Mike versus everyone.
I want to give my father a hard time.
Leading to a design build-off between senior and junior.
You guys are going to pick one of these bikes and somebody smashed my gas tank.
American Chopper, Friday nights on Discovery Channel.
A molar with a root missing. That's the information they've been looking for. It's either the strong one from KV60 or they don't have the right mummy at all.
I think that we are very close to solve the mystery, And I do hope that we reach the final step.
Ashraf and Hani measure to see if this tooth fits in the gap in the strong mummy's mouth.
I feel quite, excited. Of course, we are all eager to know if she's really Hatshepsut or not.
Luckily, each person has teeth unique to their own mouth, size, shape, and proportions as distinctive as a fingerprint. It will come down to the last millimeter.
So it's 1.74, the other one was 1.8, so it's 0.6 of a millimeter difference. So yeah, they're matching.
At the end of a long day, facts in hand, they're sure they've got a match.
This is Queen Hatshepsut. Okay.
Here's why. The tooth in Hatshepsut's box is a molar with one root missing. And in the mummy's mouth, there's a gap for a molar, and one root is still in place. A perfect match.
So I think this is quite an achievement, and I think we're all happy about what we just got from these images.
Very happy to solve this mystery.
It's the kind of proof that almost never happens in a cold case 3,500 years old. Definitive proof, the kind that solves cases. The missing tooth has given them Hatshepsut. For Zahi, this is the news he's been waiting decades to hear. Hatshepsut has been found.
I never thought in my life that we'll be able to actually discover this mummy at all. I have to tell you, congratulations.
Thank you, Dr. Zahi. Without you, we will never be able to finish this work. Yes.
You found, you and Hani, this great, incredible discovery. The tooth that can fit with KV60A, that now it is not KV60A.
Yes,
it is the mummy of Queen Hatshepsut.
Yes, that's good.
The forgotten mummy from KV60, neglected for millennia, until Zahi returned, reopening the tomb and the investigation into her identity and returning her to her rightful place. Hatshepsut the Pharaoh, found at last.
This is really a very important discovery, to discover a mummy that was neglected for thousands of years, and to know, to be sure, through science and archaeology, that this is the mummy of Queen Hatshepsut. This is a very important moment.
They still have to figure out who or what killed her. Was Hatshepsut murdered? And who was behind the plan to erase her from history? There's one last set of revelations still to come. A remarkable scientific study has led to a breakthrough finding in Egyptology, the discovery of Hatshepsut's mummy. But now that they've found her, the team still needs to take the hunt one final step. To find out how she died and what it can tell us about who wanted her out of the way. Now the investigation travels to Germany to the state-of-the-art Siemens laboratory. Dr. Zahi Hawass has sent the scans there to use next-generation processing software they've developed.
We can see the brain a little bit better.
In the vivid colors of 3D volumetric imaging, Hatshepsut comes to life again.
And then if we turn it to the other side, this is the area where we have the missing tooth.
As forensic pathologists and the top 3D experts try to determine her cause of death, radiologist Dr. Paul Gostner is soon able to see just what ailed her. A tumor formed near the abdomen.
She had pain especially because of the tumor. It destroyed the bone. That's a sure sign it was malignant.
But that wasn't all. Hatshepsut was suffering from many ailments. She had arthritis, osteoporosis, perhaps even diabetes. But none of those did her in. What killed her was something she would have never expected.
In the last months of life, a painful abscess formed in her mouth with swelling. She practically couldn't open or close her mouth, so in the last days, she would have been unable to eat. In this situation, it's easy for an abscess to infect the body with pathogenic microorganisms with fatal consequences.
An infection of the gums, raw and throbbing, right around the famous molar. Doctors of the time often pulled such teeth to lessen the pain. But what they didn't know is that if the tooth is pulled and the abscess bursts, infection enters the bloodstream. Without modern antibiotics, the consequences would be deadly. Her last months must have been painful. A powerful queen, a pharaoh, wasting away in her bed. The infection eating at her gums, and finally, the rest of her too. This then is how Hatshepsut died, killed by her body's own infection, ironically, from the very same teeth that proved the key to her identification. So if she was done in by disease, then who tried to remove her from history? Back at Karnak, Dr. Larche has made a new find that ties all the pieces together.
Here, there is a very interesting detail.
His team was repairing a wall. Behind it, they found a surprise. In several places where Hatshepsut's name was hacked away, it was actually replaced with another name, Amenhotep II, Thutmose III's son. For Kara, this is the evidence she's been looking for. Evidence of the motive for the attack on Hatshepsut's legacy. It's all about the politics of succession. Thutmose III did it for his son.
This right here is wonderful proof to show me that they're not trying to remove Hatshepsut because they hate her or because she's horrible. They're trying to remove Hatshepsut because they want to make sure that the succession is patrilineal, is clear from father to son.
It is an example of propaganda, something like the Soviet Union in the 1930s. Hatshepsut becomes a non-person. It's not that they hated her. It's not that she was a peace party. It was not anything like that. It was simply the fact that they needed to ensure a smooth succession, and part of this was getting rid of Hatshepsut.
This is the final proof. This is why Hatshepsut's name was wiped out. She was not the victim of hot-blooded murder, but a cold-blooded purging. Thutmose III wanted to remove her from history, to have his family and his children take her place.
The only one who can make the destruction of her monuments should be one person, Thutmose III. When he became the king, he had to take her name away from history.
In a way, you could look at Hatshepsut's life in a tragic sort of way. She loses her father at the age of 12. She loses her husband at the age of 15 to 20. She loses her mother shortly after that. She loses Senenmut, one of her closest advisors. She loses her daughter Neferure. The only person that she actually seems to have had a connection with, significant, long-lasting connection with, was Thutmose III, who amazingly was the very person that removed all of her images after her death. It's a very tragic story.
But now, after 3.5 millennia, some small part of that tragedy has been settled. And the mummy that was forgotten has been brought back to a place in the Cairo Museum.
I have to say from my heart, as an archaeologist, for the first time, looking at this mummy, putting this mummy at the Cairo Museum beside the royal mummies, saying that this mummy is Queen Hatshepsut, it's a very important moment in the life of any archaeologist. I'm very proud that I do have this moment, and I found the mummy of this queen, Queen Hatshepsut.
The first pharaoh found and identified in nearly a century. The first since Tutankhamun. Rescued from oblivion, Hatshepsut regains her position as one of the most powerful women the world has ever seen. Not just a queen, a king. Hatshepsut the pharaoh, the woman, the legacy, restored at last.
all new and exciting this August on Discovery Channel. Taking you to the critical moment between life and death to find out the science behind survival. Survive